Josh, are you surprised that Tyler did not make it to the final three for the Luke Rosen? Do you think he's deserving of that recognition?
I personally think he deserves a lot of recognition. He's the best kicker I've ever been around, best kicker I've ever seen. I personally think he's the best kicker in the country. So I think he does deserve recognition.
Thanks.
Question for both of you guys. So now it's come down to it. How do you just reflect on your Arizona careers and what you guys have been through?
Super thankful. I've loved my time here. Been a lot of ups and downs, 3 different head coaches, seen a lot of guys come in and out of this building. But it's just been so special, the relationships you build, the friendships you make, and you get to see a lot of different walks of life and how people approach their work. It's pretty special. And being here for 5 years with this guy and guys like Stukes and Berto, who have been here through that all with us, I mean, it's been super special, and it's been a great ride.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's been very special. All this whole journey, it teaches you things. It teaches you a whole bunch of things: how to deal with adversity, how to deal with the ups and downs. When you're doing good, when you're not doing good. It teaches you how to build connections. Teaches you how to communicate with people and different people, because as we all know, some people don't respond to criticism like others do. So it teaches you how to respond and communicate with people as well. And I'm just so thankful, like he said, for this opportunity that I've been given.
Josh, what's maybe your favorite memory from the Territorial Cup?
When we beat them at home in 38-35 when we rushed the field. My gosh, yeah, that was awesome. That was amazing.
Has the word spoiler been used at all this week in talking about knowing that ASU, if they win, they can get into the Big 12 title game?
We're just worried about what's ahead of us right now. We're worried about not necessarily the game, but a fist fight, the dog fight that's right in front of us.
So what has it been like for you, Josh, to be in the same offense as Territorial and McMillan?
It's been amazing to see the growth and development and just the raw talent and ability that this kid has, and his ability to go out and make plays when some of them seem impossible. And you see him on every Saturday, those crazy catches. It's amazing to see those. And just his ability to develop as a leader through action these past few years has really been amazing to see as well.
Michael, as non-Arizonans, what have you learned about the Territorial Cup? What have you come to appreciate about the rivalry and the matchup for both?
I'll start. So I know it got like the history of it. I've learned a lot about it because it's become something like. Honestly, until my junior year of high school, I didn't know that, what the U of A was, and so when I got out here and started learning about the Territorial Cup, it was really cool, and seeing I grew up in Texas. I thought the most bitter, big time rivalry was always Texas versus A&M. And then I got out here and I was like, ooh, yeah, this one's bitter, and it's hate filled, and it's it's a big deal for both schools. It's about pride. It's about honor. Records kind of go out a window with this one. I know it started. We talked about it this week. Kind of started in its oldest trophy game, but where it really started to get bitter was when they kidnapped 3 of the U of A players and took them up to school up north, and then when it got really, really bad was in the 80s when after Steve Kerr's father passed away over in Beirut. What happened in the basketball arena, I know that's when it turned piss and vinegar. And so, yeah, we talk about that a lot in the history, and just how it's about respect and honor and everything with the state.
That's a good answer. There you go. Wow. Oh, yeah.
If I'm doing the math right here, I think if you guys win this one, would be 3-2 personally, right? Is that important to you?
Correct. I think it's very important to tip that scale in our favor and to go out the best way possible this season. Yes, sir.
David?
Obviously, Josh was asked about his favorite memory that he's played in. For you, what would be the favorite game moment that you've been in here with this rivalry?
It was the 38-35 game at home. I've been telling guys all week, I've been a part of some really cool games. When we went to the Rose Bowl and upset UCLA, That was a fun game, but nothing compared to rushing the field after beating the school up north, 38-35 on Isaiah Taylor's pick. That was just that was a really special moment.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously, Josh was asked about how he felt about you not being in the Groza finalists, but how do you feel about it?
That's not my control. Like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's cool to win, or it's cool to be recognized for that. But the body of work that I've accumulated in college and all the process that I've gone through in college, I feel has set me up well for the next level, and that's really important. I've been able to do some awesome things here at Arizona and develop some special relationships. So at the end of the day, it's not really in my control. Yeah, that's all I would say about it.
Tyler, were you surprised that TCU returned one of your kicks? And like, what did you do? Like, since you normally just have to jog off the field at that point with a touchdown.
I knew they were going to do it too. I got out there and we were kicking in like probably a 22, 23 mile an hour wind because it was gusting at that point. And I saw their returner back up to 9 deep in the end zone. I was like, yeah, he's taking this out. I was annoyed because that was a total pride shot from that team to do that and then put their returner on the 5-yard line the rest of the game. Like, that just kind of shows where that team was at and how they respected us, not only on special teams, but overall. But anyways, yeah, new game.
So you said what you learned here set you up for the next level. So how do you look at the next level and getting ready for the NFL draft and all that?
Right now it's finishing out this week. Make my kicks now, but honestly, it's been I've learned some really good piece of advice from coaches over the years, and two that have really stuck with me this year is, I think it was Bobby Wade told me, we were running out his first game, and he goes, he's like, you can't make 2 kicks from now on this kick. He's like, you can only make 1 at a time, so don't worry about it. And then Coach Carroll, I was talking to him the other day, and he's like, you're not going to be judged on, how well you make it. You're going to be judged on how well you can miss. Like, how well can you miss, reset mentally, and go back out and step up to the challenge. Because, I think if you let misses and you let stats and all those things kind of cloud your process on the field in any position, that only hinders your performance. And so learning those things and the thought process of what it takes to be at that level, that's been something big for me this year.
And then in your 1 year working under Coach Brennan, what are some of the biggest things that you've learned from him, and what kind of coach is he?
He's a player's coach. Loves his players, cares about his players. He's one of those guys where he walks around and you always know you can approach him. You can come to him with anything. His door open policy is a legit door open policy. If you walk by his office, he's got both the doors to his office open, and that means he's free to talk. You can go sit down, hang out on his couch, and develop that relationship. As far as things I've learned from him, it's been a lot of leadership stuff. What it looks like to lead with action, what it looks like to lift guys up, show up every day ready to work, because we talk about it a lot right now, especially going through, maybe a harder season with the record, but he always says the only way to it is through it. He's like, if you want to feel better as a team, the only thing that you can do right now is get back to work. And so having that mindset has been really good for staying the course and sticking with our process.
Can you repeat the question?
1 year working under Coach Brennan, what have you learned from him? And a lot of people had expectations for the season, and now it's been disappointing. A lot of people are maybe questioning Coach Brennan right now. So what is it about Coach Brennan that maybe gives you optimism about the future of the program?
One thing that really stands out is that burning optimism, that burning passion to come to work every single day, even when things aren't looking great. His message is, again, to just keep pounding the rock, keep swinging the hammer. And another thing is that we practice hard. His motto is like, if you can't practice hard, how are you going to be able to like play hard, right? Because like as we all know, like you practice how you play how you practice. So it's like we practice harder than any staff that I've ever been a part of, and that is true, and I think that's a huge piece of where the development will be coming in and is coming right now.
Tyler, I don't know if you watched last Thursday night's NFL game in Cleveland, but can you even begin to prepare for the potential of having to kick in situations like that at the next level?
What was it?
Oh, it was like snow.
It was snowy. See, that's just fun. I was joking with someone on the sideline. I was like, I think it was in like 2021. We played Washington State, and we went up there. It was 11 degrees. We had rain, hail, sleet, snow, rain, like
Fog.
fog. Like
Yeah.
we could not see the other sideline. Like games like that, and it was windy. Games like that. So I've had that under my belt, but the way you have to approach those is like, it is what it is. You can't control the weather, and if you can go at it with a good attitude, it's like, this is kind of cool. I never get to see this. It makes it kind of fun, and especially it's more rewarding. Like when you go out and you can perform in those conditions, it's a pretty good deal. And I don't think there's anything like, I can't go simulate a snowstorm in our indoor, but yeah.
All right, last question, Michael. I have one for each. For Josh, the run game looked like you guys kind of got that going in the second half against Houston, and then against TCU, it really wasn't like probably what you wanted it to be. You know this is going to be a really physical game against ASU. What are the keys to getting the run game going and giving you guys some balance on offense?
Sure. Communication and executing play in and play out. We've demonstrated that we've been able to do it. It's just now, can we do it consistently, and can we do it with more physicality than them? That'll be the key.
And then for Tyler, following up on Brian's question earlier about TCU taking the ball out from the end zone, if you guys recall from the 2020 Territorial Cup, that's how the game started, right? Like kick into the end zone that they took out. First of all, when you see that, does it change anything about your approach to like where you kick the ball, like into the end zone, and maybe kick it shorter? And then are you just always kind of on alert since then that you have to be ready to make a tackle?
Yeah, I know like the second I kick the ball, I can see by the body language of the returner whether he's gonna take it out or not. So if you watch the kick against TCU, I hit it and I knew he was taking it down, so I started covering down with the team. But one thing we talk about a lot is like touchbacks are a luxury, so expect to cover. So our guys, they're always racing down to the end zone. We have a competition to see who finishes first in the end zone. Obviously keeping lane integrity on that play, but playing this week is just out of the back. This is my last ride in Arizona Stadium. I love kicking here. The ball's going into the stands. So, yeah.
All right, that's our time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. What was it like seeing T-Mac break your record on Saturday?
I was extremely happy. You know, it was satisfying for sure. Something that is a goal that we set earlier this year when I first got here. You know, you don't make a lot of promises as a coach, but that was one that I promised them that we'd get done, regardless of, you know, record and whatever else is going on. But, you know, I told him that we were going to push him to get him in a spot where he can break the record because he's deserving to break it. So I was very happy.
And then now that you've been able to work with him for a year, what stands out to you about just the kind of receiver that he is?
You know, he's it's funny, we talk about being a pro's pro, right? He loves this game. You know, you can see the way he goes about it every day at practice. He really wants to be the best version of himself. He sets his goals high. He's very ambitious, and I think he works at it. You know, and that's something that's deserving to be rewarded. And you know, I'm glad that he's reaching his goals in college football. And you know, he's just a great player.
For Bobby, it seems like T-Mac's kind of micro-analyzed. Like you'll hear the announcers during the game talk about, oh, he didn't run this route at full speed. You'll see people on social media analyzing his body language. Still getting questions even this week. Is he going to opt out? Is he not going to play this game? Why do you think that's the case?
That's what happens when you're at the top. You know, when you're the best receiver in the nation, they're going to pick it apart. And I truly believe that he is just talking about playing that position. He's been very consistent with his production in 3 years. He came to a 1-11 football team. You know, he's taken a team to a major bowl game to win. He's been the heartbeat of this team without being the vocal leader and having to scream and yell and stand in front of everybody and speak. And that's just a tribute to who he is and his character as a person. You know, he doesn't have to be, he doesn't want to be the person in the front, but naturally because of his ability, he is. And so he's scrutinized and he's going to be picked apart. And I think that's just the way it is in any sport when you're playing at the top, that everybody from the bottom is going to try to pull it apart. But I think he does a great job of just coming to work every day. And that's when we talk about being a pro's pro. You know, regardless of all the things that are happening around him. And, you know, people want to talk about the possibilities if you went here, if you went there, and, you know, even out of high school, you know. So he's just a young man growing up to be a man and just following his own journey, you know, standing where his feet are and you know, just trying to be positive and push forward all the time. You know, some of those things, you know, they're warranted, and you know, some of them he brings upon himself, but he's young, you know, and then like any other young kid, you're going to go through those trials and tribulations, and you know, you got to grow up and you got to learn. But his maturity is continuing to ascend, and I think he's doing a great job.
Duane, you've been a part of the Territorial Cup, the big game, Texas A&M at Texas, Red River. What makes the T-Cup stand out in your mind?
I think probably there's some real, I mean, this is probably a strong statement, but just some real hate, you know, between the universities. It's a personal, is what I found, game between these two universities. I've seen some interesting games over my, what would this be, 17, I think, you know, since I've been here. But even when I used to talk to Jim Young, who was part of some great football games, and he kind of felt the same way that I did. You know, now he still said the Army-Navy game is still the best rival he's been involved, but he feels the same way that I did about this game too, which I thought was interesting because he was part of the Michigan-Ohio State games too. So I would put this one up against, you know, those Red River shootouts and all those games, the big game, without a doubt, because there's so much passion that's involved in this game with players and, like all great rivalries, the fans.
David.
Bobby, what's your Territorial Cup memory as a player?
My senior year playing in Phoenix, being, you know, growing up in Phoenix and from Phoenix, and obviously being recruited by Arizona State as well. I have an opportunity my senior year to go back there and play and win that game front of the friends and family was great. You know, there's like Coach said, there's just a lot of passion that goes into this game, and it's a, you know, as being a player that's played in it, and then also a coach that's coached in it, you know, it's a player's game. You know, it's really for them. You know, and if you get an opportunity to ever play in it, like, you know that it's something you're going to remember forever. And typically you remember the wins. So that one my senior year was definitely a big win up in Phoenix.
And as a guy who's played in the National Football League, how have you tried to prepare Territorial for that level and what he needs to do to succeed at that level?
Constantly trying to find the weaknesses, you know, within his game, trying to find a way to improve him, find a way for him to improve every week, and understanding that that's what the NFL is about. You know, it is consistently getting better. It is consistently improving. If you're ever, you know, stagnant, then you're probably not going to be in that league for long. So just constantly trying to watch enough tape with him to find out, you know, what we can improve on, giving him, you know, the drills, the conversation, the tape that he needs to show him where we can improve, and then pushing him to do it. A lot of it is just, you know, making sure that he understands that he has to play well every week, you know, and that's pretty much what it is. It's a production-based business, and no matter how good of a nice guy you are or how bad, it is about production. And so we just want to keep him focused on getting better individually, and then in return, it helps the team.
So you were on ASU staff last year. What was that experience like for you, and what do you think just about what they're doing this year?
You know, I'm grateful for my time at ASU, honestly, because it gave me my first coaching opportunity. I think anybody that knows me knows that I wanted to come here first. I tried to come here, tried to be on a couple staffs prior. Just wasn't available, wasn't my time. So, you know, I'm grateful for the opportunity that Herm Edwards gave me and those people over there to give me an opportunity to start my career there. The same things apply. You know, it's really a player's rivalry. As coaches, you do the same thing each and every time and try to get your team prepared to play its best game every single week. So, you know, I just kind of let them have that and let the players, you know, kind of guide that and steer that ship. But, you know, I'm you know, good for them. You know, I'm being from Arizona, being a kid who grew up and watched Arizona State play and Arizona both play. I'm happy that both in-state teams are, you know, playing, and, you know, it's always a great game to play against each other. I'll tell you, regardless of the records, regardless of what ASU has an opportunity to play for, and regardless of what we don't have an opportunity to play for, this game is the most important game of the year, and I think everybody would tell you that. And I'm sure they're not taking it lightly, and we sure aren't either. So, you know, we're going to put our best foot forward and try to give our team the best opportunity to win.
For Duane, you talk a lot about stopping the run being priority number one in any game that you go into. Is that especially the case in this game, knowing how ASU plays, and just your overall thoughts on the ASU offense?
Yeah, I think it's always your starting point, no matter who you're lining up against. I think ASU has done a great job offensively on utilizing their talent. The quarterback has been a great addition to them. They do a great job of utilizing all their pieces. They have an outstanding wide receiver that they work hard to get the football to, and I got a lot of respect for that running back. You know, I think he runs hard. You can feel the passion on how he runs. So much respect to the coaches there that have given those players a chance to be successful. So it'll be a good challenge for us again this week.
Brian?
Bobby, what made Chris Hunter break out the way he has, especially here in the second half of the season?
Development. I mean, he's a great example of what it looks like to put in the hard work and then given the opportunity to be able to capitalize on that hard work. You know, these things, they take time. You know, you would love for guys to just, you know, jump right in and be ready to play, but the truth is that's not how that works. You know, this is still very much a developmental game. This college football is still about development. So to watch him show up day in, day out, put his best foot forward, work through, you know, injuries and pain and, you know, these type of nicks and bruises, and still, you know, wait for his opportunity. You know, you gotta really take your hat off to the kid, because that's what it's about. You know, he's I've always felt like he could be the one, and he can, he's developing on the right path. And, we had a plan for him. When I first got here, me and him sat down. I knew Chris very well, recruited him out of high school, actually had him committed to me at Arizona State. So I've known him for a long time. I was very familiar with his ability and where I think he could be. And so to see him be in the position and obviously have an opportunity to coach him, I was very excited from the beginning, and I thought he was going to be able to be a guy that can develop here later in the season. Some of these things take time. I think you got to have a plan for them. You need to be able to sit down and talk them through, when that opportunity is going to come and where you see it. Does it always work that way? Not always, but I think for him, it's really, came to fruition like right on time. It's good to see him play at a high level, and he's still so very young and raw. He's have 5 starts, I believe, 4 starts underneath his belt. So, we're just barely touching where he can get to.
Bob, you guys have tried a couple of those quick passes to the edge in the last few games. Some of them have not been blocked well. Some of them have been outnumbered defensively. What do you guys have to do to have more success with those plays to the edge?
I think timing and when they're called a lot of times too, and then a lot of those are, decisions that the quarterback gets opportunity to make. Sometimes the looks can be cloudy. So you try to get the ball out the quarterback's hand quickly to be able to give those guys an opportunity on the perimeter to make guys miss. And, they play too. So sometimes they work. They're not made to be home run hits. They're really made to just be perimeter runs. And if we can pick up 2 to 4 yards on them, it becomes a positive play for it. We're happy with it. If they come out the back end and we can split a couple guys and make it a big hit, great for us. It's just something we still got to work on. It takes time. It's not something you could just put in the offense and think you're going to be really good at it right away. But I think it's something that we can make some good money on.
How happy are you with the overall blocking by the wide receivers?
Oh, that's a tough question. We are growing in that area. I'm gonna keep it like that. Sometimes it goes really well, sometimes it doesn't. It's a work in progress. I'll say this: blocking on the perimeter is just about effort. You got to want to do it. And so the guys that show you that they're getting it done at a high level is because they're just working their butts off to be able to get it done. And so it's never perfect. Football's not. So we just continue to try to work it and give them opportunity.
For Duane, I have a couple technique-related questions for you. The first one is about jump balls. You had the Hail Mary against UCF, and then the 3rd and 25 play against TCU. What would you like to see your defensive backs do differently or better in those situations?
Well, on the one in the, hoping I could go 40 plus years with not ever seen one, but you got to box out. So we don't just turn and everybody run for the ball. There's a landing spot, so it's basketball now. The landing sport, Bobo is the basket, and so now you box out, because there is no PI in that situation. That official from the Seattle-Green Bay game taught us all that, right? So there is none. So you grab, you hold, you just don't let that kid get to the ball. And that's just, we got some young players, and like I said, probably should have burned a timeout and walked them through that, because that's not a play. You practice that situation on Thursdays, and we've been knowing him for years and got a lot of training tape on that. I haven't been in that situation. But now as that guy's approaching, you're just playing basketball. And now you're just boxing out. We don't go after the football like you see a lot of guys go, because that's one of the problems. And now Bobo is the one that becomes our high point guy. The one with Bobo, obviously, that was just disappointing, because that's what they had with our all-out blitz system. They're either going to try to throw the screen, which they tried, or just throw the ball up in the air as you just keep giving ground. And as you saw, Jack played it well, because we're just playing the ball in flight. Bobo is right there, and that's just something he's got to constantly work on. Because he's been in that situation on some fade balls, finding the football. A little bit of a gift. That's why you see that one kid who's all over these walls, McAllister, at 20 interceptions in 3 years. That's a phenomenal number. But he made those plays, and that's something that just we're really disappointed with, because we should have walked in that locker room 14-13, and both teams were playing actually really well. And so we just can't lose that momentum right before half. That was disappointing.
Then the second one, you had a couple really good shots on the quarterback, and he was able to complete the ball. I think they were both jacked. At least one of them was, where he hit him right in the midsection. As I'm watching that, I'm like, well, maybe he should have, put his arms up, but then you run the risk of maybe hitting the quarterback in the head and getting a foul. So is that what you want to see?
Yeah,
in a situation?
you want to go for the belt buckle, just try to throw a fist at your belt buckle and see what your reaction will be. Just try it. You're going to fall off like he did. The biggest thing, is we just got to understand, he's 2 steps on what the alignment should have been. The ball should have never gotten off, like so many of those other sacks. We're +1. So it's just the little things like Bobby said, as we're growing in this game, alignments when you're playing against a really productive offense, and much credit to that quarterback right there now, because he stood. That's not an easy thing to do, to have a guy running right at you and follow that and finish that throw and anticipate the window, because Tay was right there too. So, we're 2 steps away from what the alignment should have been. So many of those sacks that you saw earlier on, or the throwaways, we were properly aligned.
The blitzer wasn't aligned in the right place?
Correct. He was at the spot, but he was just, you want to crowd the line of scrimmage as much as you can, go through the whole design, but we're +1 in that defense, so it's hard to block everybody. And so it was a great lick, Kendall Bryce, as I shared with you, we knocked the kid out of the game, but the play of the game was the 3rd and 2, where he split the 2 defenders that were running at him. That was impressive to me on the start of the 2-minute drill, where there's a possibility we'll knock him out for you. And that's just a great play by that kid. He's just a really good football player in that system. So much respect to him. They made the plays, where it's a game of opportunities, and you saw we made the opportunities early in the game against Houston, and we missed some of our opportunities in that game. And it's just, when you're lining up against good quarterbacks, good offenses, everything matters.
Last question to Justin.
Question for both. How do you think a win on Saturday could really, keep the good feel vibes for the program going into the offseason and maybe salvage the season a little bit?
Yeah, it would definitely do that. So obviously, given the fact that ASU is playing really well, they beat some really good teams that we've lost to. It gives us an opportunity to come in and play a rival team at home. It really gives us some big momentum going into the offseason. And it's good for the boys, just their morale, because they've really been working hard. It's not a group that doesn't work hard at all. So they're deserving to win. Unfortunately, that's not how football works, right? You still got to show up, and, the best team that plays well that day wins. So, overall, it would be great for the community. It would be great for the players. Not so much worried about the coaches, but the players. Want them to be able to feel good about the work they've been putting in. So, it'll be a fun game. And obviously, beating a ranked team, beating a rival team at home, it's big.
Yeah, I think Bobby said it earlier. This is always the #1 game on your schedule, no matter what your record is. Especially a rivalry like this that is so passionate. So beating your in-state rival, like you said, I've been involved in a couple of these with the Red River and A&M. It's always a game you think about. So it would be a big boost for this university community and this football team, because they're deserving of it. They have stuck together through all the adversity that's been thrown their way, and they've continued to be allowed to coach hard and stay in it. So, it would be great for everybody that's involved in this.
All right, that's our time.
Thanks, guys.